Hey, what's going on you guys? It's Epic here and welcome back to another Borderlands ranking video. You guys seem to like the last one, so I decided to do another one, and in this video we're going to be ranking all bosses in Borderlands 3. The way we're going to be scoring this is if the boss has a giant red health bar, that's what we're going to be determining as a boss, and we're also going to be taking into account stuff like how fun the boss is to farm, how easy it is to kill, does it drop good loot, and what is the aftermath of killing the boss. And we're also going to take into account stuff like how easy is the boss kill, how fun is it to fight, and does it drop decent loot. And also boys, since we got a recommendation, we have finally done it. We now have an AVA tier. So the AVA tier is below the white tier, and it's going to be there for the bosses or just anything in general which is the worst of the worst. This tier is going to be for the epitome of a bad item, or a boss in this case. So let's not waste any time and let's jump right into it with the Agonizer 9000. So when you first fight the Agonizer 9000, it's actually quite a difficult boss if you don't have the right setup. Because it has that big radiation health bar, you definitely need a corrosive weapon, and if you don't have one, it's going to totally annihilate you. But I will say that I did enjoy the Agonizer 9000. I think aesthetically it's one of the best looking bosses in the game, and I really do enjoy fighting it. And of course, in the most recent update, which added dedicated loot drops, you can now get the Dictator dropped from the Agonizer. So if you don't already know, the Dictator is one of the best weapons in the game, and since it comes from the Agonizer 9000, I'm gonna put this boss in legendary tier. We're starting off strong, boys. So yeah, I'll be honest, I really don't hate the Agonizer. I honestly thought it was gonna go in purple tier, but because it drops the Dictator, honestly, it's got to go in legendary. I can't think of anywhere else it should go. Next up is the Arbalest of Discipline. So these are going to be bosses that are the final bosses in the Proving Grounds. They do have a big health bar, so they are classed as a boss. Honestly, it's just a reskinned boss, you know, that's all it is. And as we know, it doesn't have any unique drops. Does it actually have a dedicated drop? I don't even think it does. I genuinely don't think any of them. Oh wait, hold on, wait, no, hold on. Oh wait, so it actually does have. Okay, I never knew that. So they've now added dedicated drops to all of the Proving Grounds bosses. I mean, they are still class mods, right? I mean, yeah, they don't drop any actual weapons. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, it's a tricky situation. On one hand, they do have dedicated drops for class mods, which I guess you could say is helpful, but I mean, going off of how good it is as an enemy, it's like green tier at best. The fact that it can drop you like legendary class mods, I mean, I'll put it in blue tier, but I don't know, man. Alright, next up is Aurelia. Aurelia actually has quite a bit of dedicated loot you can get from her, so we'll get that out of the way. Let's talk about her as a boss. I mean, let's be honest here. I think as a boss, Aurelia is just really inconvenient. She constantly has these immunity phases where you have to break them by shooting the ice. She constantly rains cryo on you that slows you down. And not to mention, if you want to farm her, you've got to go all the way through the cellar to fight her, or you have to go to Graveward and then travel behind you just to get to her, in which case you would just, you know, fight Graveward, right? I mean, considering what she drops, I'm gonna put her in blue, and I'm gonna change the Arbalest of Discipline into green tier. Now, hear me out. The reason why it's going into green tier is because just with any Proving Grounds enemy, just to get to it, to get that class mod, you've got to do the whole Proving Grounds. So for that reason, I think as a boss, the Proving Grounds bosses are just super inconvenient, and that's why I'm moving them into green tier. Next up is Billy the Anointed. Oh god, I mean, like, okay, yeah, it's an anointed enemy, but let me ask you a question. How many of you actually remember fighting this guy during the story? I mean, it's quite literally a glorified anointed enemy, right? Like, that's not just me, right? It's an anointed enemy. I don't see this guy as a boss. I don't actually think I've ever gone back to farm him because I didn't see the need to. Let's actually check if he drops any, you know, dedicated stuff. Yeah, I mean, okay, so he drops the lead sprinkler and the Gatling gun, which I guess that's a pretty decent drop, you know. What does he also drop here? The Warlord AR. Yeah, oh god, he actually drops semi-decent stuff. Oh no. Alright, you know, he's an all-flesh type enemy. You could probably kill him pretty quickly with most weapons. The teleporting is super annoying though. Oh dear. You know, I think I would rather fight Aurelia over this boss, but I definitely would rather fight this boss over the Arbalest, so I'm going to put it in blue tier behind Aurelia. Next up, we have Haunt from the Bloody Harvest seasonal event, so by the time you're watching this video in the future, he might not even be in the game at this point. Let's start off first of all by saying that this guy doesn't have any unique drops. I know a bunch of you probably think he does, and you're going to be like, Epic, oh, you know, Haunt, he's got this and that. No. Haunt actually doesn't have any dedicated drops. He just has a higher chance for those drops. You got to take one thing into consideration with Haunt. One, you have to go and get all of the Hectoplasm just to get back to him. Two, you then have to kill your way through the whole of the Heck Hole. And then three, you also have to take into account that this guy, like, you know, he has them immunity phases. You can't really melt him. But on the other hand, you've also got to take into account that this is a really fun and unique boss. I think in terms of his drops, he's standard, but innovation is listen, I'm just gonna say it, I love Haunt. I really love Haunt, but at the same time I can't be biased on these tier lists, man. I'm gonna put him behind Billy because he's just so inconvenient. Make this boss save and quit farmable, or make, you know, you be able to go back to the Heck Hole anytime you want. Like, you know, he could easily be purple tier, but until then he's blue. Alright, next up we have Carnivora, and I know you guys are gonna hate me for this. It doesn't have a boss health bar. It doesn't have a boss health bar. I know that, but the way that Carnivora appears and the way that unless you kill it in the main story you cannot progress, I am counting Carnivora as a boss. While you can't farm it, and while it has the worst loot drops, it is a boss, and that's what we're going to rate this one on. So throw all of the other conditions out. We're just rating Carnivora on how it was as a boss during the main story. Again, there's not much I can say because it's not a proper boss, but it is a main story progression boss. So I think for Carnivora, I'm going to be fair to it. I'm gonna put it into white tier, and I'm gonna get so much shit for this in the comments, but I had to put it on the list, guys. You know, I mean, it appears you can't progress through the main story unless you kill it. Like, why not put it on the list? All right, next up is Captain Traun. Oh my god, Jesus Christ! I don't know what more to say about this guy. I'm gonna get so much hate if I don't put him into Pearlescent. He has good drops. He's really funny. He makes Athenas a joy. He's Pearlescent tier. General Traun, also very cool. I don't know if he's Pearlescent tier. He's not as cool as Captain Traun. You know what? He's going to go into Pearlescent tier. There you go. I've got both the Trauns in Pearlescent tier. I don't want to see a single comment criticizing my decision. Next up, we have Genevieve on the list. And talk about a boss that just keeps you moving and moving and moving, and you can't put any damage on because she's moving and moving and moving. Yeah, I mean, you've got to go through the whole of the family jewel just to get to her too, and she has some decent drops, but none that I've ever seen put to good use. And on top of that, like I said, constantly moving around when you're fighting her, and she spawns the little flying mines and then her minions, and oh, this boss gives me a headache. But I don't think Genevieve is Ava tier. I don't know if she's white tier. She's definitely not green tier. I would rather go through the whole of Proving Grounds than go through the family jewel to fight her. Yikes. This is a difficult one. I'm gonna put her high green tier. So she's on the verge of white. I really don't like this boss, guys. There you go. I don't like that boss. Next up, we have Gigamind, who appears relatively early on in the story and also drops some pretty cool and unique loot. Of course, you can get the smart gun, which has the little runny around Gigamind thing. I think it's pretty cool. I think the design for the boss is pretty awesome as well. It's a modified Nog. It's very unique. in terms of like farming, I rarely come back and farm Gigamind. You know, it's not the hardest boss to take down. It's really not. And I would be lying if I said that it wasn't all that fun to farm. I'm gonna put Gigamind in high blue tier. I think Gigamind is more fun to farm than Aurelia or anyone else on the list, and it does drop some pretty cool stuff too. So Gigamind is gonna be in blue tier. Tyrene Calypso. Oh my god. Oh my god. I swear to god I hold the biggest grudge against this boss. I don't know if you guys follow the Borderlands lore, but I for one do, and I can tell you that the Destroyer is not that big, and I was so annoyed when it was that big at the end of the story. It absolutely blew my mind that they basically tell us in the lore that we didn't kill the whole Destroyer in Borderlands 1, and then this is what we get. And I resent them for absolutely just mugging us off and making us believe this. Also, if you don't take her health down quick enough, she will go into several annoying immunity phases, and Jesus Christ, I just hate them so much. Drop wise, I'm not gonna lie, they're not all that bad, alright? No, she doesn't have that bad drops, but for all of the other stuff, that earns her green tier, and that's gonna hurt a lot of people. She's high green tier, but I know I'm gonna hurt a lot of people with that decision, but I hold a grudge against Tyrene Calypso's boss. I'm sorry guys, but I just do. Next up is the Hag of Fervor from Proving Grounds. Again, just like with all of the other Proving Grounds boss, it has some decent drops, but it's very hard to take down efficiently, and then it gets all its health back, and it's got some beefy health bar. I really don't know where I should put this one on the list. I'm gonna put it next to the Arbalest of Discipline. I would rather fight the Arbalest. Next up is Katagawa Ball. So when I first fought the Katagawa Ball, I didn't think it was a very fun boss at all. In fact, I hated the Katagawa Ball. But since I ran through the story again and again and again and kept fighting this thing, I actually really like the Katagawa Ball. I think it's a very unique boss. I actually really enjoy fighting it now, and it drops the Tsunami, which is also a really good SMG. So yeah, you know, I like Katagawa Ball. I think Katagawa Ball is a better boss than Gigamind, and that's where it's going to sit. Next up is Katagawa Jr. Oh my god. This guy makes me want to tear my hair out every single time I fight him. He's like what Zero should have been in Borderlands 2, and it absolutely infuriates me. If you can find someone who has confidently like one shot at this guy and got through it without him teleporting around and bamboozling them, please get me into contact with them, because I'm sick and tired of this guy. Actually, in fact, now that I say it, I don't even think this guy has any unique drops. I've never received a legendary from this guy, not even a world drop. Hold on. Wait, what? You're telling me this guy drops the Brainstormer and 2 grenades? What? Oh my lord, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this. You know what, Katagawa? You were gonna go into Ava tier. Up until I saw that you dropped the Brainstormer, you were going in Ava tier. Like 1010%, you were going in Ava tier. You know what? You're going high white tier. You're going right. You are on the verge of Ava tier, and that's only because you dropped the Brainstormer. I don't care what anyone says. The Brainstormer is not enough to keep you from being at the bottom. Next up, we have Kilovolt. Really cool boss. Really innovative boss. The side mission, I never want to do it, but honestly, Kilovolt as a boss is really freaking cool. I really love this guy. I don't fight him a lot. I think I've ever actually killed him like once, but that doesn't change the fact that I think it's a really cool boss. But yeah, no, I like Kilovolt. He drops, of course, the Transformer, which is a really good weapon, so I can't fault him too much, actually. You know what, Kilovolt? I am gonna grace the purple tier with your presence. I think you're a great boss, actually. You know what? No, you're going behind Agonizer. I think you're a legendary boss. Next up is Mouthpiece. This is pretty much the first real boss you encounter during the main story. So if we're talking about like how fun he is to farm. He kind of gets boring after a while. But if we're rating the boss on uniqueness, he gets legendary tier for sure. But anything else, I think a fair placement for Mouthpiece is purple tier. Next up, we have the Rampager, the first vault boss you actually encounter during the main story. Again, if we're rating this thing on creativeness, I think it was a very strong start to the vault bosses. I think it would be a legendary tier boss. It is a vault boss. It does have its own drops. It does have world drops, and of course you do get to loot the vault afterwards. I don't know anyone that would actually farm this boss though, just because of all of the immunity phases, how hard his crit spot is to hit. Yeah, this guy's also a really big bullet sponge. I'm gonna put Rampager just behind Gigamind. It's kind of a bullet sponge. I don't enjoy farming it, but I wouldn't call it a bad boss. Next up is the Sarah of Supremacy. It's another Proving Grounds boss. This one's actually quite easy to kill. For that reason, I'm gonna put it in front of Tyrene. I would rather fight this thing than Tyrene. Honestly, I hate you, Tyrene. Alright, next up is the first boss you encounter in Borderlands 3, being Shiv. I think design-wise, Shiv looks like a cool boss. I think farming-wise, he's super easy to farm. Probably the easiest boss to farm in the game and the easiest boss to kill in the game. But sadly, Shiv does not have a dedicated drop, which means you literally have no incentive to go and kill this guy past the first mission. If they add a dedicated drop source to this guy, like maybe how Knuckle Dragger had the Hornet in Borderlands 2, I could put him up in blue tier. I can honestly tell you guys though, I would rather farm this guy than Genevieve. There is more in it for me to go and kill this guy over and over again than kill Genevieve. Call me crazy, call me stupid, dislike the video, unsub, do what you want, but that's just my opinion. I do not like Genevieve as a boss. I would rather farm this guy over and over and over again for no reward than Genevieve. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's such a bad idea to put it there. Alright, next up is the Skag of Survival. Another Proving Grounds boss. This one hops around a lot and is really annoying to kill. Jesus Christ. I'm going to put it in front of Shiv and below all the others. Actually, no, I'm going to put it in front of the Hag of Fervor. I'd rather kill this than the Hag. Next up, we have Graveward. Oh lord, I'm gonna get some hate for this one. Like, this is everyone's punching bag, right? If you want to test the damage, you go to Graveward. Before they added dedicated drop sources, this is what everyone went to get their loot from. Yeah, you know, I'm rating this in a present mindset. If we were rating before dedicated sources came out, Graveward would be pearlescent here, because this guy was the easiest boss to farm and he had the just best drops ever. You wanted something, you go to Graveward. Like I said though, this is everyone's punching bag and he's still a relatively fun boss to fight. I don't find him as fun as everyone else, but for the sake of everyone else's feelings, I'm gonna put him in a high legendary tier. Next up is the Tink of Cunning. This one, I really don't want to waste my breath going on about it. This guy kind of sits with a Skag for me. I'd rather fight him than the Skag. He's just more fun, but that's about it. Next up is Troy Calypso. You know, I don't hate Troy, you know, I didn't hate his boss fight either. What I did hate is the lack of enthusiasm behind it. You know, on one hand, I kind of expected them to go the way they would with it, but on the other hand, I wanted him to turn into some hulking beast, or, you know, like, because he has that whole power where he can anoint things. I wanted to see him grow into like a super mutant, but we just got like a standard humanized boss fight, you know. I think he's quite hard to hit unless you're using a precision weapon. He moves around a lot, he spawns a lot of projectiles, and his dedicated drops really aren't all that good in my opinion. I'll put him below Grave. He's gonna go behind Mouthpiece. Yeah. So that's where he's going. I don't think he deserves any higher or any lower. I hope you guys agree with me, but I just wasn't a big fan. Next is the Tyrant of Instinct, the final, thank God, the final Proving Grounds boss. This one is a Tyrant with a ton of health, and I'm sure you could melt him with an incendiary weapon. I'll put it below the Skag, honestly. It's just so much effort to kill him. Next up, we have Warden. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Warden wasn't anything special. Like, that mission as a whole made me fall asleep, and then the boss fight is just, God, it was one of them bosses for me. I don't know what unique stuff he drops. I don't even want to take the time out of my day right now to go and check what he drops. I don't enjoy this guy as a boss. I think it's really funny, this Goliath in like a police officer uniform, and you know, he's got his big like jiggling belly, and but as a boss, man, I'm not a big fan of him. I don't really know where to rank him, honestly. I think I would rather fight this guy than any of the green tier bosses, honestly. Apart from Tyrene onwards, I think that's a fair place to put him. I hope you guys agree. I really don't know where else he should be. And now that we're coming to the end of the video, we are of course going to be talking about the Maliwan Blacksite enemies. First of all, let's start off with the Valk squad, since, you know, we're going to go in order of progression for the Maliwan stuff. I thought the Valk squad was a really fun and unique boss. I know there are people that don't like these guys. I actually really like fighting them. They keep you on your toes without overbearing you and just totally like pounding you into the ground. So yeah, I really like this boss. I think this boss, and I don't know, again, I really hope you guys don't disagree with me, I think this boss is legendary tier. In fact, I'm gonna put it in front of Kilovolt. And then finally, we have Wotan the Invincible, the first Invincible of Borderlands 3. Did Gearbox get it right? Did they steer people away from Invincibles? Was it too hard? Was it too easy? Let me say this, the near impossible crit spot makes fighting this guy on anyone barring Amara and Flak extremely difficult. I also think there's a lot of ad spam during the fight, and that definitely puts me off of fighting it. In terms of how easy he is to farm, not at all. This guy sucks if you want to farm him. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I hate to love you, Wotan. I really can't stress that enough. I hate to love this boss. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. Considering Wotan was the game's first ever invincible boss, part of me wants to put him in high purple tier, part of me wants to put him at low legendary tier. I think as the first invincible, a lot of people will keep coming back to fight this guy in the future. I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me or disagree with me, but I truly believe that this is an invincible people will come back to fight. I could be wrong, but that's what I feel. And, oh, Jesus, you know it's a controversial decision when even you are, like, contemplating whether or not to do it. I'm going to put Wotan into low legendary tier. I really like the boss. And that's interesting because when I first fought him, my mind was set on him being an AVA tier boss. You know what? It's just dawned on me too. We are at the end of the video and we don't have an AVA tier boss. Let me ask you guys, I want your honest opinion on this. What do you think? Do we have a boss here worthy of going into AVA tier? I don't think we do. I don't think we do. I don't think there's any boss here that deserves to be AVA tier. But anyway guys, that is of course going to do it for this video. Big thank you for watching and all of your support, and always a big thank you to the channel members CookedKiwi and Valventin for their support. I hope you guys like these ranking videos. They're actually growing on me and I have a ton of fun recording them. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna have to come up with like every gun in the game or every enemy in the game, so let me know what you guys want to see me rank next, and also if there's a creator you want to see join me on the ranking, let me know too. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for watching and have a nice day.